If the Aer CPP2 and the Simple Commuter had a baby, this is what you would get, the Fyro Citta EDC. This is the 18-liter version in the 330D Codra, and then this is the 24-liter version in the X-Pack. A few months ago when I reviewed Aer's newest 20-liter version of their CPP2, I described what my ideal airbag would be. Let's rewind to that. For me, for everyday carry, I wish the CPP2 had the dedicated laptop compartment. Everything stayed the same and it was just 20 liters, and it had the travel pack 4 water bottle on one side and then the side stash pocket on the other. That would be ideal. One of the things I'm going to talk about on this video is how Fyro has essentially taken all of those things, for the most part, solved for all of my little nitpicks with the CPP2 and turned it into this. I think for anyone that's in the market for a similar, sleek, minimal, modern, technical, everyday carry backpack that checks off a lot of boxes: organization, standability, comfort, solid materials at a decently accessible price point, but still premium, this is definitely one of the top contenders, along with Aer's CPP2 and the Simple Commuter. So on this video, I'm gonna be comparing it to the CPP2 specifically, because I think while it shares more of a similar look to the Commuter, functionality, organization-wise, it's a lot closer aligned to the CPP2. So I'll share my thoughts on the two. I'll highlight my favorite things about it, point out a couple nitpicks that I have as always, and then I'll pack both out, the 18 and the 24 liter, and share some thoughts around the different fabric options and which one I would personally go with, but they've made it kind of complicated for reasons I'll get into. But yeah, let's get into it. By the way, a lot of time and energy is invested in these videos. I do it because I genuinely enjoy it. If I won the lotto tomorrow, I would quit my full-time job and I would continue doing this. I get a kick out of helping people find their ideal backpack, because I know like how awesome it is, that feeling when you find it for yourself. But if you do decide that you want to snag this guy, or perhaps not this one, maybe the Simple Commuter or the Aer, and this video helped nudge you in that direction, I'm gonna include affiliate links down in the description. Always appreciated when you use that. But yeah, moving on. So as I alluded to what would be my ultimate airbag, the three things that I consider to be improvements over the CPP2 are: one, the front admin panel; secondly, are both the smoothness of the zippers and the fact that you get non-PU coated zippers everywhere. And then lastly, you get some side access action, which you finally now get in the 20-liter version of the CPP2. You get one instead of two pockets, but let me get into it in a little more detail. So one is the front admin panel. Let me actually bring this guy in here. I was talking about how I wished that the CPP2, this is the 20-liter version of it, how I wish it had more of the CPP2 admin panel setup, in the sense that here you are limited to about this much space, and then you have the front stash pocket for bulkier things. Once the main compartment starts getting packed out, it starts competing with space, and just all in all, I would prefer having a longer admin panel to have that optionality, right? Putting bulkier things into it. With the Citta, you get actually two zippers instead of one on the admin panel, which is a nice plus. And then secondly, it goes all the way down. I think maybe, it's not a big deal. I think it's not too deep. But one of my nitpicks with the Levo, especially the fact that I was reviewing the bigger one, is it incorporated the same admin panel design for the most part, but because it's much bigger, getting to the bottom of it, I mean, that's like literally, it's swallowing my arm. Here, it's not as bad. I think maybe had this opened up a bit more, kind of like on the CPP2, it would be nice, but it opens up sufficiently. All in all, prefer the admin panel. You also get like a bonus zippered pocket right here on this side. Second thing is the zippers. They went with YKK RC zippers. I love the fact that on both the Codra and the X-Pack version, you don't have PU coated zippers. Most backpacks, with the exception of like the Able Carry Max EDC, the Aeon Whitley, I haven't seen many others where they'll give you a technical fabric like an X-Pack and non-PU coated zippers. The combination of that with the fact that they're also using, I believe, number 6s, whereas Aer is using number 8s. The zippers are just a bit stiffer on the Aer. I think the one that I have the biggest issue with is just the main compartment zipper is stiff, especially when you go for something like an X-Pack where you're dealing with a PU coated zipper. And yeah, the zippers on the Citta are really, really, really smooth. I give them a 9.3 Pilgrim churned butter zipper smoothness rating. On the sling, the Citta sling, insanely, insanely smooth. Let me compare it to the X-Pack. I feel like they're about the same, to be honest. Yeah, the X-Pack has a slight bit more structure, but yeah, they're both, yeah, 9.3. 9.3 is good. There's something keeping it from being a 9.4, and I'll get into that when I talk about the nitpicks. And then the last thing is that you get side access now with the 20-liter version of the Aer. They introduced it, and this is like completely down to preferences. I think a lot of people are gonna prefer having 2 water bottle pockets. I prefer 2 water bottle pockets with a 1-bag travel backpack for everyday carry. I just want 1, and then 1 side access is solid. This one actually gives you 2. You got a bigger one here that's concealed. Great place for a passport or valuables, anything that you want closer to you. Now, with the Aer, oh yeah, freaking backpacks look exactly the same from behind. With the Aer, you get one side access pocket, but it's limited to the 20-liter version. If you want the 24-liter, you get the 2 water bottle pockets. And then the other thing worth calling out is that the side access pocket on the 20-liter Aer feels tighter to get into, whereas the one on the Citta is more comfortable. And you get 2. Now for me, the things that stand out the most with this bag is how comfortable it is, how well it stands, and the material selection. A few things in particular. Comfort, I mean, this would not be a reason to choose this over Aer, because honestly, I don't know which one is more comfortable. They're both insanely comfortable, but the immediate feeling on your shoulders when you put this one on is a really delightful feeling. My dad just came to visit. He's been rocking the Aer CPP2 that I gifted him. And one of the big reasons for why I got him on that is because he was complaining that his other backpack wasn't comfortable, and he's been loving how comfortable it is, but he put this on, he's like, holy cow. Like right out of the bat, he was like, this feels more comfortable than the CPP2, but wearing it for longer periods of time, I think they're both comfortable. It's the foam that they're using, this like ridged design, it just feels like the Michelin man is hugging you from behind. It's really nice. Secondly is the standability. Now, I find that the 24-liter, because you have more surface area in the bottom, just stands a little better than the 18-liter, but the 18-liter regardless, right now it's completely empty, so yeah, it kind of wants to like lean back, whereas this one's like holding its own more. But once you have a few things in there, they're both fantastic at standing. And then lastly is the material selection. I already talked about the fact that you get non-PU coated zippers everywhere, whether you go X-Pack or the Codra nylon. That's a big plus. The materials for the shoulder straps, the back padding, the grab handle feels fantastic. It's wrapped with like a padded Hypalon feeling thing. The top quick access pocket is lined with this like microfiber silky satin sleeve that feels really nice. And then the last thing worthwhile calling out is just the copper liner. Not just the feeling of it, but the look. I'm an earth color guy. Not a lot of bags with the exception of Belroy and a few others, do colors that I'm aligned with that I really like. The other side of the coin in a little bit, right? I think the outside is not as exciting, but having this little pop of like burnt orange compared to, for example, the orange on the Aer, which honestly, like it has grown on me more and more. Before it was like very overstimulating for my eyes. I appreciate it, but this just feels a lot more intense on the old corneas than the copper liner. Now, as far as the nitpicks go, the three main ones are for lack of a better word, the sterile design specifically on the outside. Secondly are the zipper pulls that they're using on this one. And lastly, the fact that you get one fabric option on the 24 liter and a different fabric option on the 18 liter. So the size is gonna dictate what fabric you end up having to go with. First of all is the sterile design, and this is not specific to Fyro. I think on one end, personally, I'm experiencing a bit of fatigue when it comes to just the minimal modern technical backpack. Everything's starting to look very similar. Like I reviewed the minimal M20 that launched not too long ago, and I had a similar thing, right? And something that I've been continuing to lean on more and more are the intangibles of backpacks, and it's how they make you feel. And I guess I've just come to the realization that as nice it is for a backpack to check off all your important boxes, which on paper, I think this backpack probably checks off more boxes than any for me. Comfortable as hell, stands on its own, has a good amount of organization, not an overwhelming amount, but I'm not feeling like I need any more. Good top quick access pocket, a versatile admin panel, good materials, like that's all I want, right? If you were to tell me, would this bag be one of my top 5 favorite backpacks if I had to get rid of all of my backpacks? This would be one of my top 5 backpacks that I would recommend to the broader audience easily. But for me personally, someone that does value that like X factor, a bag that has a little bit more of a unique original design, it's using maybe like more off the beat materials or natural materials. I don't know, I'm on like a heritage train lately, and that's what's been really sparking the most joy. But yeah, all in all, it's a bag that as a tool serves its function flawlessly. As a vehicle for sparking joy and happiness, when I look at it, it's not ugly at all, but it doesn't move me in the way that some other bags do. They do, however, make up for it on the inside. And secondly, like this is an intentional design choice. Like Aaron talked about it. He wants something that is very unassuming, that he can blend into any environment and not draw any particular kind of attention. And in that sense, it also serves that role really, really well. Me personally, I don't want something that's like very like in your face, like, whoa, look at me. No, not at all. But I also want something that for the discerning eye, they would spot it out and be like, ooh, that's an interesting bag. Anyways, second nitpick are the zipper pulls, and one of the reasons why the Pilgrim Churned Butter zipper smoothness rating wasn't as high. They just feel a little bit too thin. I guess it's not really the length, it's more than anything that they're thin. And on the flimsier side, if you look at the zipper pulls that they use on the Levo, they're bar tacked. So it's like double the thickness. They flap onto one another. And just that chunkiness, that structure, even though they're maybe like slightly shorter than I would want them. Not that I like super long zipper pulls, but it feels like I have much better leverage with these. I'd probably be inclined to just swapping them out, which is not a big deal. But for anyone that doesn't like to customize your stuff, again, not a lot to complain about with this bag when I'm nitpicking Hypalon zipper pulls that on most bags I wouldn't even think, but was kind of clutching at straws here. And then the last thing that I have a feeling will frustrate some people is the fact that if you go for the 18 liter, you have sage and iron colorways, but you're stuck with the 330D Codra nylon. If you want the 24 liter, you're stuck with the X-Pack. And I totally get there's so many nuances around logistics, production capabilities for a smaller company like Fyro. And it is, of course, complex offering 2 different sizes in 2 different fabric options without having a ton of predictability around how these are gonna sell. You're getting 2 colorways in the smaller one, 1 in the bigger one. I mean, me personally, I feel like maybe the safer thing to have started off with is just a 24 liter and offering it in the 2 fabric options. I feel like probably net, it would make more people happy rather than having 2 sizes, which is also amazing that he's offering that, but then just eliminating that illusion of choice from people. Psychologically, I feel like you're gonna get people that are like, oh man, I wish I could get the 18 liter in X-Pack or the 24 liter in Codra nylon. But hopefully these sell well, which I have a feeling they will, and then they'll expand some more fabric options down the line. All right, some thoughts on which size to go for and which fabric option to go for. I think if you want it as a dedicated everyday carry backpack that you're never gonna use for one bag travel, you're gonna use it as a day bag at destination, you're gonna pair it with a suitcase or a duffel bag. And especially if you're not huge, I think if you're under 5'10", the proportions of this one are gonna work really, really well for you. Honestly, I'm 5'8", 140 pounds. Both proportions work really nicely for me. This one doesn't feel too small, and then this one doesn't feel too big. I think the safer choice for most people where you're not like building out a quiver, you're just like, hey, I'm getting one backpack to do everything with. I'm gonna take it to the gym, I'm gonna take it to work. I wanna be able to use it on short 1 bag travel trips. 24 liters is always a safe choice in that sense. And because of the proportions, it doesn't feel too big. Like compared to this one, I think when in doubt, go 24 liters. Now in terms of the fabric options, this is where things get a little interesting. This 330D, polycarbonate Codra nylon. Codra is essentially the Korean version of Cordura. They're using a lower denier version of what Peak Design is using as a shell fabric for so many of their products. And it feels really nice. Has a matte, cool, interesting texture to it. I feel like compared to X-Pack feels a little bit more premium, but it has more of a shiny, reflective nature to it. Although I am a fan of X-Pack for sure, especially the VX42. I think if you're buying one bag and you want it to last as long as possible, you're not looking to replace it, go with the Codra nylon. From what I've gathered, you get the functional advantages of X-Pack in terms of waterproofing. It's a tough fabric, not as tough as X-Pack, but apparently it's significantly more resistant to heat and humidity and the impacts that it has on the plastics. And so longevity wise, the way it's gonna age, whereas with something like X-Pack, you have to worry about pimpling and delamination. I don't have sufficient personal long-term experience to confidently say it, but from what I was reading and the chemistry behind it, this one should age better than the X-Pack by a long shot. So one reason to go for this one if you're kind of open to both sizes and you're just trying to decide on the fabric option. All right, let me pack this guy out. Here's the top quick access pocket. So deeper than the one that you have on the City Pack Pro 2 for sure. And I kind of like how it angles in. They're using this like satiny, silky microfiber type liner. So great spot for sunglasses. I'll throw my AirPods in there as well. Front admin panel. You can see it goes all the way down, so it's deeper. You get zippered, non-zippered stretch mesh pockets, and then you get inside of this one a little AirTag sleeve, and then you get some nice stretch mesh here on the opposite side as well. So throw mobile battery bank on one side, little flashlight action on the other. You also have a zippered sleeve here that you can put bulkier things. Just gonna leave that empty. Got tech pouch, cap one, fits in there nicely. Doesn't get in the way of these 2 pockets, and yet stands like far enough that I can snag it. Whereas when I did the Levo, the bigger one, because it is a bigger bag, it just sinks in deeper to the bottom, but a good place for jackets. As you can see, like on these side stash pockets, which I really don't have anything to put in them right now, because I have pretty much everything in my tech pouch. Key leash is removable, and then you can place it somewhere like here if you want to. One thing I will say though is Out of the whole entire bag, this feels, I wouldn't say an afterthought. I think it's great that it's long for anyone that doesn't want to remove their bag, and I think that's the intention, right? Just swinging it around, leaving your keys in there. But if you are actually like removing the keys, taking it out and using it in other settings, the downside of this is that it is just pretty long for it to be just like on your keys by itself. So you get that side stash pocket, which is nice and comfortable, and then you get a bigger one here that's more secure. So good spot for something like a passport when you're traveling and you want it as safe as possible. Vertically oriented luggage pass-through. Already talked about this with the comfort, but just so you can see up close, the straps, and then you have like little sleeves here as well. Woojin hardware, magnetic buckle action, and then you can just slide it up and down, which is my preference for sure. It's stiff enough that it won't move, but you can see throughout, right? Just a lot of reinforcement on the shoulder straps with the way it was stitched on. This like padded Hypalon feeling grab handle there, and then the laptop compartment here, insanely padded, so a ton of protection. 14-inch MacBook fits super snugly. I've got to check what the dimensions width-wise. It feels like that's about the limit, which could be a downside for anyone with a 15-inch. Yeah, I don't know if anything bigger than this would fit. Feels really snug in there. And then you have a zippered little pouch here. So if you want to throw cables for your laptop, mouse, and then main compartment here. This is the 18-liter stretch mesh sleeve with two. This is like pretty much table stakes at this point, having these two guys here. And then great spot for a tablet, fits really snugly in there. So I'll throw like a knitted sweater in there. But as you can see with everything in here, the 18-liter, I mean, you don't have a ton of space if you're doing like one bag travel. Let me throw in like a packing cube in here that has a decent bit of bulk. It's got like 5 t-shirts and then an athletic thin hoodie. It fits, you could make it work. I don't have a toiletry kit in here or anything else, and as you can see, like already you're getting a little bulgage action. Let me show you just the interior of the 24-liter one. So yeah, significantly more space. Here's the clothes, but you have more volume to put more stuff with. So yeah, for like a 2 to 3 nighter, this would be my easy choice between the two. Okay, so final thoughts. If you want a backpack that on the outside doesn't draw too much attention, you identify with the modern minimal technical look, you're looking for something that's gonna check off as many boxes as possible. While I can only speak to my boxes, I feel like Aaron's been reviewing bags for, 6-7 years. He reads his comments. He has an incredibly good pulse on what the carry community wants and what they don't want. And while you can never make everyone happy, I think it's interesting because the T22, he designed that bag collaboratively with the community, getting feedback. And then this one, he decided, hey, I'm gonna kind of go on and do this by myself and like his team of designers. And I feel like this bag is a much safer entry into the everyday carry world. In a good way, I think it's gonna have significantly more mass appeal. There's really not a lot to complain about the bag from a functionality standpoint, right? Comfortable, stands on its own really well. Good combination of quick access, both in the top, the side. You get 2 solid external water bottle holder. Really like the stretch mesh that they're using. The depth of the admin panel gives you a lot of optionality with putting bulkier things in there. Smooth zippers, no PU coated zippers on either options. Not a lot to complain about. I think if you're trying to decide between this and the Aer CPP2 Pro 2 or the Simple Commuter, the Simple Commuter I think is a great choice if you want to maximize organization, like you want a dedicated place for every single individual thing. I think especially for people that don't use a tech pouch, the simple Commuter has essentially like a tech pouch built into it. And then the other advantage that you also get with this one, just kind of differently, is that it has a front stash pocket that is accessed while you have it on your shoulder. So that side access, you do have that with the smaller ones, but it's more limited to smaller things. The Aer CPP2, I prefer the look of. It's still very much minimal and modern, but has some like unique, tasteful, like striking enough design choices that it looks more interesting when I look at it. I was like, still in the sterile box checker backpack segment, but it does it really, really well. I think material-wise, Fyro has come a long way, but Aer liner fabric, not the color, the fabric. I prefer the stretch mesh of the Aer. I like them both, honestly. It's hard to pick one over the other. I think a lot of people are gonna prefer that the top quick access pocket on this guy is deeper, so you have space for more things. And yeah, there's the big question is the price difference. The ballistic nylon version of the Aer CPP2 is $209. That's their 24 liter. And then the X-Pack version, I think it's like $259, around there. Whereas this one's $299 for the big one, and then $229. They don't have the economies of scale, the production power that Aer has to compete. And so, yes, it is frustrating. You're gonna have to spend more money than really, I feel like no one is competing head on in the space with Aer price-wise. They're hard to beat in that sense. But once you're spending $200+, if this is a long-term investment, really think about, is there anything that I talked about that's gonna be a nagging thought in the back of your head where down the line you're gonna be wishing you spent a little bit more money for the Fyro? It is frustrating because apples to apples, I feel like they should cost the same amount in an ideal world, because it's not like this feels built better than the Aer, but you have to put that aside, because if you're evaluating it from that perspective, then you're gonna pick Aer every single time. Best of luck, feel free to ask questions, and cheers.